Now we got to play the skip button again because we've been through this scene way too many freaking times. Harada and his men would be going to Kuge Gate to stop the attack on the Imperial Estate. The question was, where would I go? Well, there's only one option we haven't done yet, and it's to Kuge Gate. I decided to accompany Harada to the Kuge Gate. When we arrived, it was immediately clear that the fight wasn't as decisive as the one at Hamaguri. The Judiciary Commissioner's men who moved to Kuge from Hamaguri were still engaged with a number of Choshu soldiers, refusing to yield. Before I could respond, he was off, the rest of the Shinsengumi thundering into the battle behind him. Harada led the Shinsengumi warriors and dived right into the center of the battlefield. War cries rose up from both sides, and battle was joined. This time, however, the forces defending the Imperial State had the Shinsengumi on their side. The battle did not last long. A great moan of pain went up from the soldiers of the Choshu. The officers of the Judiciary Commissioner shouted to their men, who slowly began to advance. They had scarcely begun to move, however, when the man covering the Choshu escape turned and faced them.
Hey, Zaku-domo! 光栄に思うんだな。てめえらとはこの俺様が遊んでやるぜ。
Well, look who has finally appeared! There was a flash of silver and a sound like the crack of thunder filled the air. The sound rang loudly in my ears, and I saw the man holding a silver barrel with smoke rising from it. A gun? It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was smaller than a normal gun, making it easier to conceal. It was called a handgun.
Nanda? 銃声一発で腰が抜けたか?
He looked pointedly at the remaining officials, his mouth drawn open in a toothy grin. The reason why people couldn't approach him was because of his aura rather than the fear of the gun. He was clearly outnumbered, but looked no more concerned than if he were facing no enemies at all. It was clear to everyone that he was no normal man.
遊んでくれるのは結構だが、お前だけ飛び道具を使うのは卑怯だな。
Harada? Harada moved a few steps closer to the stranger.
は? 卑怯じゃねえって。そっちこそ長物持ってんじゃねえか。
Pig sticker. All right. Both men grinned, a challenge to one another. Almost too fast to see, the point of Harada's spear swept through the air towards the stranger, who leaned out of the way at the last moment.
てめえは骨がありそうだな。にしても真正面から来るか普通。
小手先でごまかすなんざ、戦士としても男としても二流だろ。
The stranger grinned.
俺は知らぬい京様だ。お前の名乗り聞いてやるよ。
新選組10番組組長原田佐之助。
They seemed to see one another not so much as enemies, but as rivals. The air between them was tense, but I felt no evil intent from either man. What should I do? Get rid of Shiranui. That's legit what we're doing.
お 前に出るなって言っただろ
If I was honest with myself, I was terrified. The strange man was very dangerous, but Harada saw something in him, so perhaps he would hear me out. I didn't let Harada finish. Shiranui-san, right? Could you leave now?
面白くなってきたところなんだぜ。野暮なことするんじゃねえ。
But can't you let this all go?
あ？何言ってんだてめえ。ふざけてんならぶっ殺すぞ。
I felt a cold bead of sweat roll down my spine. This, I thought, must be how a frog feels when it catches the eye of a snake. But I opened my mouth. There was no going back. No. Well, all of the Choshu's shoulders? Every time, I swear. No. Well, all of the Choshu's soldiers ran away.
おっとと、そうだったか？
Although he hadn't said anything, he'd clearly been serving as a sort of rear guard for the Choshu during their retreat. Now that they're gone, I don't think there really is a reason for you to fight. His eyebrows went up, and he looked at me more closely with a shy hint of perplexion. Our job is to protect the Imperial estate. If you still insist on drawing your gun, Shiranui's expression still looked warped. He let out an exasperated sigh.
ああ、やめだ、やめ。
He put his gun away, and he scratched his head.
なかなか腹の据わったガキじゃねえか。面白い奴らに会えて、今日の俺様はご機嫌だぜ。だがいい気になるなよ。お前も原田も。次があれば容赦しねえぞ。
Harada moved himself between me and Shiranui.
俺たちも長州となり合うつもりはないさ。ま、お楽しみは素直に取っておくんだな。
ああ、お前とは相入れねえな。俺は好きなものは最初に食う派だ。
And with a raucous laugh, he was gone. Harada followed the direction Shiranui went for a few hundred feet, then returned once he was sure the man had actually disappeared.
またどこかで会おうぜ。
Harada gave me a short tap on the head.
あんまり無茶するなよ。心配するじゃねえか。
Lips. He hadn't said much, but those few words were enough to let me know that he cared about me. ごめんね. I mumbled. Harada looked at me for a moment, and his eyes thinned.
いや、お前の判断は正しかったと思う。こっちも余計な怪我人を出さずに済んだ。土方さんの指示は長州を追い返すことだしな。奴らの追悼は俺たちの仕事じゃない。だからありがとうよ。
Harada looked towards the direction they ran. He looked a little sad.
しかしな、今さら逃げてどこまで行けるんだろうな。
え？
長州の奴らさ。このまますんなり長州まで帰れっこね。これからが大変だろうぜ。
I was initially confused by his statement, but then I realized they'll be running through enemy territory, and they might never make it home.
だが、これが戦の習いってやつだから仕方がねえ。白縫いのやつとはまた会うことになるかもな。そんな気がする。
I don't know why, but I kind of had the same hunch. So, if you see him again, would you fight him? Harada was one of the captains of the Shinsengumi. So long as Shiranui was allied with the Choshu, there was no doubt that they were forever enemies.
まあ、俺の槍も避けられるし、銃を相手にするのは血と骨が折れそうだが、あいつが敵なら戦うだけだ。
Harada. There was no mistaking the resolve in his voice. I was sure that the man called Shiranui would no doubt prove a dangerous foe, but Harada's smile put me at ease even for just a while. With the battle at Kuge Gate finally at an end, the men who remained began to clean up. I helped as best I could, moving rubble and tending to the wounded, glad that the battle was finally over. And now we have reached September, which we're gonna go through fast, because we have seen this scene too many times as well. Bye, Haska! I hope you find some good men to bring back to join the Shinsengumi, because Kondo-san is gonna follow you in a month. My choice. I want to watch over everyone while you're gone. It's the correct response that we're going with, for Harada's sake. Oh my god. Hold on. Is it? Shit. Hey! It's raining outside! Hold on. Return to my room. Perhaps it would be best to just return to my room. I didn't want to get in trouble for wandering around, but most of all, I didn't want to find myself in anyone's way. Even though I was worried about Sun-on-Sun, maybe it was best for me to stay out of the way. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, the compound exploded with activity. My worry increased tenfold. Did something happen? Alright, we can skip this as well. Because this is just the same scene we've seen before. I think slightly different, but our choice is go outside. Oh, there's the rain. I hear it now. Clear as day. I took a deep breath and my lungs filled with crisp, cold air. It brought me a sense of calm, cooling me down. I stood in disbelief of everything that happened tonight.
お、さっきよりは顔色良くなったんじゃねえか。
You think so?
んな引きつった顔で笑うなって。まあ、気持ちはわかるけどよ。怖かっただろう。いきなりあんな話を聞かされて。
Oh, it's not like that. It was hard for me to be up front with him, so I attempted to look stoic as best as I could.
別に強がる必要なんてねえよ。怖いものを怖いっていうのは悪いことでもなんでもねえ。まあ、他のやつの前じゃ言わねえ方がいいだろうがな。
After saying his piece, Harada lightly patted my head. Harada. It may have been a small gesture, but I couldn't deny it brightened my mood a little. Despite the circumstances, I appreciated Harada treating me as if everything was going to be okay. What's going to happen to Sun-on-Sun?
どうだろうな。かなり追い詰められてたからな、あの人。
I know. I had nothing really to chime in with, so I nodded. I wasn't sure how much my opinion would matter, considering that I was an outsider to them.
あの人には江戸にいた頃から世話になってるし、できれば生き残ってほしいもんだが、死ぬのなんていつでもできるんだからな。
He sighed deeply and looked up at the sky.
だが目を覚ました時、三男さんが元のままのあの人でいてくれるかはわからね
I watched his expression and thought to myself, what does Harada think of the serum? Has he accepted it as a necessary risk for the Shinsengumi? Does he tell himself that it's for the good of his men and that it can't be helped? Harada.
ん
I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to know what he was thinking, but I shut my mouth. なんでもない。
なんだ別に遠慮なんざする必要はねえんだぜ
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's nothing really.
そうかならいいんだが三男さん早く目を覚ましてくれるといいなできれば元のあの人のままでってこりゃ過ぎた望みってもんか
We all wish for the same thing. I silently shook my head. I don't think that's asking for too much. We all wish for the same thing. It was something I truly meant. Harada stood silently, watching the leaves dance around us, and turned to me.
ありがとうよお前いいやつだな
Our conversation met a halt. The thought of my father conducting experiments with that medicine, and knowing that with it he was performing cruel acts on men, it gave me so many things to worry about, but right now all I could wish for was for Sanan-san to pull through. Then an unexpected visitor arrived.
お前たちこんな夜更けにここで何をしている
そりゃこっちのセリフだあんたこそこんな時間にどこに出かけてたんだ門限破りは切腹だぜ
私は壬生寺で剣術の稽古をしてきただけだ局長の許しも得ている
なるほどさっさと中に戻ってくれねえか今ちょっとした騒ぎになっててよ
騒ぎだと一体何があったのだ
俺も詳しくは聞かされてねえんだ大方体内に尊攘派の患者が入り込んだとかじゃねえのかさっさと部屋に戻った方がいいぜあんたもともと近藤さんたちからいい印象を持たれてねえだろ
いらぬ世話だ
Takeda darted an icy gaze towards Harada, and he scurried beyond the gates. Was what you said okay to say?
少なくともボロは出してねえはずだが明日以降土方さんたちがうまくごまかしてくれるのを祈るしかねえな